This is Action and Ambition, the show that takes you all over the world to share interviews with the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their backstory, get the most important lessons they've learned on their road to success, and hear exclusive tips on how to implement their success in your own life. Action and Ambition is brought to you by Entrepreneur Magazine and your host, Andrew Metal.
Thank you for tuning in to the Action Ambition podcast. My name is Philip Lanos, and today we're here with Heather Florio. She's the second generation owner of Desert Harvest, which manufactures organic nutritional supplements and skincare products, harnessing the power of the Aloe Vera plant. Heather works closely with medical professionals around the world conducting research for developing products in urology, pelvic health, dermatology, radiation oncology, etc. Heather, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. It's not often I get to talk to somebody who not only works with health professionals, but also has a product. Is it a consumer product that people can access in stores and such?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I get the lucky pleasure of working with amazing doctors all over the world, learning about new forefront research. It's a rewarding experience.
Yeah. And so I've heard, I've spoken to enough people in the CPG space to know that it's almost like the music industry. You got to be a rock star to break through the noise. And then after that, it's even harder to keep it up because, now it costs lots of money to stay on top of that. So to know you're a second generation owner means you did something right, being able to carry it on and keep it running. And how much of your life is spent working with the professionals versus working on the ins and outs of the actual business itself of the product?
It's probably about 50-50 for me.
Wow.
I get to spend a lot of time. I just wrote a book with an amazing pelvic floor physical therapist at Duke University called The Musculoskeletal Mystery. That just dropped this fall. And so I get to work on these amazing projects. I'm working on an FDA drug trial right now, which is the first we've ever done. And, I've got these great consultants that have worked on all these other different projects, even COVID ones lately. And so it's I'm getting all the inside little skinny on the research and the information and getting to learn what the new forefront and advancements in research. And they teach me new things almost every day. So
now, given that you're in the health field, what has health been like in your life growing up in general? Was it always like a cause for concern or something that kind of only happened now in your later years as you're becoming an adult and, you're going through the motions and you're running a business and the stress is weighing down on you? Or has it always been a thing because your family were also entrepreneurs or some sort of situation where they were always working and felt sick and tired? Or does that play a role at all in your life, in your journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was my mother was chronically ill growing up, and some of her siblings, they had been exposed to a nuclear meltdown that had happened in Idaho back in the day.
Whoa.
And is still under concrete. And so they got exposed to this. And as a result, they started developing all different kinds of autoimmune disorders, cancers, all different kinds of issues. And so my mother has spent my entire life being ill. But at the same time, I got to watch her be this amazing career woman, so in the 70s, she went and worked for Arthur Andersen, that is no longer in existence, but used to work for them in Atlanta. And she was the executive assistant to the president. And so she got to, learn this stuff. I always call her like Dolly Parton in 95 back in the day, or Lily Tomlin. And so for me, being able to watch that growing up, she started a home-based business doing secretarial services when I was born. And so, and then all throughout the 80s and 90s, and I got to watch this businesswoman. I get to go with her while she spoke at Harvard, and she wrote for the Boston Globe and the Wall Street Journal. And so I got to watch this happen throughout my life. I got to pretend to be this businesswoman. I used to answer phones when I was 8 years old. And I remember the customers being like, "You have an amazing secretary." And they'd be like, "Yeah, that's my 8-year-old daughter."
Oh, wow. What an example to have had growing up. And now here you are. Do you have a family yourself?
I do. Married. My two sons are now adults, which is new. I have an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old.
Oh, very
And
new. Yeah, very new. Yeah.
yeah, so to watch them go out in the world, they help in the business. Both of them right now. One's in college and works a little part-time. And so to be able to have them be a part of it and an experience has been awesome because it's kind of tied into me being a mom, because I get to be like, they'll be like, I can't take that. And I'll be like, here's the research on this. Or I will say, they know way too much about a woman's body because we do a lot of women's health. And they probably know more about a woman's body than a woman knows about her body. So
I love that specifically because being a second generation owner and being able to talk about family and how integrated they are into business, it just becomes, I've never been a part of a family owned business, but I imagine it's hard to escape that reality. Even I don't think the work leaves at the office. I think it comes home sometimes because it has to, right? Is that true?
it does. Our life revolves around that. My husband says, all the time, he's like, some days all like, this is like, we talk about it in the car on the way home. We talk about it at home. We talk about it on vacation. My husband is so understanding though. He's always all like, you're doing better for our family. You're doing, what takes care of our family, not provides just for our family, but for all of our employees. And because our employees are like our family, they make the success of our business and it keeping running. And so for us, it's definitely not separated.
Yeah.
But my husband is very much, he's always been so understanding about that. I can get late night phone calls. I can get all these different things. And I'll be like, no, you have to understand it's an important call. I have to take it,
No, I really appreciate you bringing that up because of the number of people I've spoken to, many, if not, I can scarcely think of one person who hasn't agreed to this. They said the best business decision they ever made was the partner they chose to marry. And that makes all the difference. And it sounds like it's true for you as well.
Oh, yes, hugely. I mean, without the support of my husband, I don't think I could be as successful as I am. I would have some, I'm a very driven person, but I always say he's like, there's always that phrase from back in the day, behind every great man is a great, great woman.
Yeah.
And I think it goes either way. Because for me, without having the support of my husband to make sure that other things get done, that our life is taken care of, and that, hey, I need you to go pick up the kids today, I'm not going to make it, or something like that. It was always a collaboration.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
because one can imagine a life where your partner doesn't agree with the way you live your life and how much you work or this or that, and forget about it. That's going to fall apart as soon as possible. So to have someone who's there, who understands the grind, who understands what you're trying to accomplish, who understands that you're a second generation owner on top of that, and the number of people that are counting on you every day, and that kind of pressure that you have to deal with, and that vision that you have to lead. Yes, it matters who you're with.
Yes, hugely.
So tell me, with Desert Harvest, what are your plans moving forward? It's 2022 now. Happy New Year. And there are things that I imagine you have on the agenda that you want to accomplish, talk about. You've already talked about the fact that there was a book you wrote. Was that correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that was the first book as a collaboration. It was really Ingrid Harm Hernandez. It was really her 30 years of developing this pelvic floor physical therapy field. Because, you can go back to 2015 and most people don't even know what pelvic floor physical therapy was. Very few. And so to be able to educate and give people tools for success is really important to me. And actually, I'm already working on my second book with another.
Yeah.
Because I'm all like, hey, I can do this. I'll do it again.
You don't stop.
No. I don't know that word.
So you sell nutritional supplements and skincare products. Which of these seem to be taking most of your attention these days?
So our biggest product is our super strength aloe vera capsules that are currently actually undergoing FDA approval right now. Right. We started this company almost going on 29 years ago because my aunt actually had interstitial cystitis. This is like a debilitating bladder disorder. So imagine having a constant UTI, men and women, about 80% women, about 20% men, that have no lining of their bladder. And imagine a constant UTI that never goes away.
Oh, Lord.
And Yeah. And back then, sadly, this was, in the early 90s, this was a very much an all in your head disease. And so my aunt could not get any support, any resources. She didn't know what to do. And her and my mom went to some random natural products conference. They grabbed some random bottle of aloe vera. She took the whole thing and she slept through the night. And so my mom and my aunt were like, talking, and my mom was like, I have this chemist friend. Let's see if I could get this concentrated and make it safe for long-term use, because most aloe veras on the market contain anthraquinones in them. They're naturally in aloe vera, and they act as an irritant to the colon, and over time have been proven carcinogenic to the colon.
Wow.
And so in the meantime, one pharmaceutical drug came out on the market, which is currently undergoing serious class action lawsuits for causing people to go blind, and retinal myopathy. And so and that product had a much lower efficacy rate than our product. We have an 87.5% response rate of some or complete relief of all interstitial cystitis symptoms with just taking our capsules. So we literally get to change lives. We get to give people's lives back. It's so rewarding, because we have so many people call us every day. And we had a cop. He was on duty, self-cathing himself 12 times a day. And he did not know, he called almost in tears and said, you gave me my life back. He said, I don't have to do this anymore. I can have a normal life. We hear stories of people. I get to go play with my grandkids again. I get to travel. I get to leave the house.
Wow.
We had a middle school girl that was on her parents made her a bed on the toilet so that she could sleep and she was in middle school, I think like 13, 14, and she couldn't even go to school. She literally lived on the toilet because the burning and the frequency was so bad.
Oh my goodness. This has been going on. And in the 90s, they just told people it was in their head.
Yes, because it was a predominantly female disease. There's a higher incidence, unfortunately, in the healthcare community of, being, for women, very much being kind of told it's in your head, or it's psychosomatic, or it's something. And there is always definitely a mental component to health, because you can't have overall wellness if your mental health is not there also. Sure. At the same time, you have to take care of the whole body. And that's kind of one of the things we talk about in that book that we just dropped this fall, The Musculoskeletal Mystery. We really talk about that. So.
No, I love that, because my partner was reading. She was reading on gut health and all the other things related to that the other day, and was just telling me she herself is a nurse, soon to be a nurse practitioner, and she's reading this and breaking it down and saying how much of it is so accurate. And it's funny, because a lot of people will use other medications and this and that, and for emergencies that makes sense. But for a lot of times, for overall wellness, it just takes maintenance and using supplements and things of that nature. And it's funny that is never the dialogue that you hear in the healthcare system. Mostly you hear people complaining it's so expensive, but preventative care is just as important as taking care of it once you've reached an emergency. Yay?
Yes, exactly. And it's so hard and so, supplements. So unfortunately, the supplement industry, the FDA does not have a big enough staff to regulate the full industry enough. And so you get a lot of, people that just come in as sharks. They want to make as much money as they can. They get out, or they just sell. That's one of the great things about Desert Harvest. We are very committed to the quality of our products, the purity of our products, and the research of our products. We want to know that something is going to work. We just launched in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, we launched a CBD. Wow. And it wasn't because, we were jumping on this bandwagon. We've been doing research for 5 years in determining what the best strain was, how it was going to function best, what we were going to do. And then, what we did, we launched it, and we're doing the first of its kind research at McGill University up in Montreal, where we are actually watching what it does in the human body. So this is kind of the caveat for a lot of any kind of marijuana derivative research. cannabis, because you really cannot do any human research. It all has to be with mice. There's very limited research. So we don't really know how it's functioning in the human body. We have theories because we're watching what it does in mice, but we wanted to be able to know what it was doing in the human body. And their pain research center at McGill University has the ability to harvest pain neurons from donors that have donated their bodies to science that have passed, and actually keep those neural pathways alive for up to a month. And
Wow.
we actually get to induce, let's say, like a MS pain, arthritic pain, chemotherapy pain, surgical pain, nerve injury pain. We've done all these different models where we actually get to induce that pain into the nerves, and then we apply the CBD-R compound, which is unique in and of itself, because the aloe vera, as at our concentration and the way we process it and what we do with it, because we follow it literally all the way from farm to bottle to customer. And we actually get to see that it's actually being more systemic, absorbent in the body, because the aloe vera acts as a carrier. So it's making it more systemic and long lasting. And so for that reason, we have been monitoring the bioavailability throughout this process and watching actually what it does in the human body. So I'm really excited because we have had some amazing results. I am not allowed to talk about them because they're about ready to be published in the Neurobiology of Pain journal. But we are really excited to see those launch, because this is actually even the first time we're actually going to have research anywhere showing it, what it's doing in the human body.
That's exciting. And I guess you don't get to become a second generation owner of a company without having some integrity behind your product for that long, where people can trust it and stand by it. I mean, otherwise you'd go out of business as soon as possible, so knowing that you put this much work and effort into being able to substantiate what it is that you're trying to bring into the market, that's huge, because I don't know many companies that go that mile just to get a product on the shelves. And so your dedication and commitment to actually helping people's lives is coming through, not only from the stories you said it before, but the fact that you go to this length to get a product. It's going to be aloe vera CBD infused, correct?
Yeah. So we have, it's a combination capsule with aloe vera and CBD isolate in it. That is ours. And so we launched that in 2020. So it is on the market. It's just, we haven't released this groundbreaking research so that people actually know what pain models it's actually working for and which it's not. Because right now, I think we're nearing 8,000 CBD brands in the United States, and it's become a catch-all for everything. It takes care of everything. It does everything, and it doesn't. And so we really need to know as consumers what it actually benefits.
No, I love this specifically. For example, there's a supplement I love using. It's called Cognizant, and it's crazy because you can't fake that supplement. Like you either have it in your whatever you're selling or you don't. It's in branded, and it's like a specific formula, and something about that just helps me trust whatever it is I'm purchasing, or even no matter where. It's almost like a medicine, This is, the Tylenol off brand, if you will. And I think that's very important to be able to have that kind of certainty when purchasing something, because otherwise you might as well just be buying a sugar pill, right? As far as people are concerned. So to know the level of integrity and investment, because I know it's an investment that you're putting into your products, is really exciting. So I know you can't share when will it be published? Can you share that?
It will be published here in 2022. We hope by summer at the latest. COVID's kind of delayed things a little bit, but
across the board. It's funny when I think about aloe vera. I grew up in a Latin household, and I remember just constantly the word savila was being thrown around, and it has and it's all these home remedies, and it's fascinating to me that now home remedies have become commercialized. But and there might be like, camu or whatever, some other may not be a superfood, but this is the real deal. Aloe vera has had, it's almost ancient in its relationship with humanity. Is this something?
It is.
Right?
Yeah. It documents back to Egyptian times. So the first written documented evidence of the use of aloe vera goes back to Egyptian times. forever,
Yeah.
thousands of years.
I mean, that's
And
epic.
yeah, it is. And in Latin culture, it's very much so. Interestingly enough, so we actually grow our aloe vera in Mexico, because
Yeah.
we actually want volcanic soil.
Yep.
And because it increases the nutrient content. And then we set up so we contract with organic farms in Mexico that, are sustainable, organic, and definitely down there, human rights advocates,
Yeah.
for their labor. We're actually the highest paid fields in Mexico right now.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
our workers don't leave. There's never new positions. And so for us, it's setting up that processing so that we can be in production within 20 minutes of harvest. Because if you in aloe vera, the minute you cut a leaf off, malic acid immediately begins to eat up all of the nutrients in an aloe vera leaf. So if you've ever seen the ones in the grocery store,
Yeah.
or no nutrients in them,
Oh,
worthless.
wow.
Because it I think it's within 6 hours, all the nutrients in an aloe vera leaf are dead from when you cut it off. So
I don't even want to know what's in aloe vera juice then.
that is probably, so when you get to juices are really hard because aloe vera is 95% water.
Wow.
So you're getting, in a lot of cases, in most cases with the juice, unfortunately, you're getting very expensive water.
I imagine so. It's mostly sugar water.
Yes, exactly. There's so many ways to fake aloe vera too. In 2016, Bloomberg did a study, and they took random aloe vera products off of shelves at Walgreens and CVS and Walmart and everything else like that, and they tested them. And they had no measurable levels of aloe vera in them. They actually had what's called maltodextrin in them, which in standard testing, if you don't spend the money on the really highly sensitive, expensive testing, will mimic aloe vera in tests. But in reality, it was just, like you said, sugar, maltodextrin.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. A buddy of mine and I, we were trying at some point to start a product ourselves, a supplement. We started looking at what it looks like, finding co-packers, labeling, design, getting approved by the whole nine. I just thought to myself, this is a lot of work to then go and not be able to provide a product that actually helps people. I can't see how people go through all that only to be driven by money. There has to be more of that, because it's not like it's a walk in the park. There's a lot of work that goes into it if you're trying to do it right. And so that's why I have so much respect for what it is you're doing in Desert Harvest in general. And speaking to you, I can tell that you're all in with learning about the product itself, which is cool because, you're not first generation. It was like you founded it, right? Like you watched your mom do this, and now here you are all in, your stuff. You've got your 6 covered. You've got your family involved in it. You've got a partner who supports that, and you all work together. And to bring that, it all comes together to bring this integrity-based product that helps people. And you're working with professionals. You're writing books about it, sharing information. This is a story of an entrepreneur. I can't imagine what your days look like, how hard they are, the hours that you work, the pressures of being able to meet payroll, and you're international, on top of that. So there's a lot going into it. What do you want the listener to know? What do you want them to connect with you? What do you want them to do?
For me, it's definitely one of the things that I can pass along as, I guess, sage advice, if you want to call it that. I don't even know if I'm there yet, but is literally, it's gonna overtake your life if you let it. And you have to learn to find balance. You have to learn to find people that you can trust and rely on. And without my team, I don't know how I could do this day to day, because they care just as much as I do. They talk to these customers, they help them succeed. So it's definitely about finding that team, not letting, and I think really as I get older, I'm learning that when you're young, you're so gung ho and you're at 80 hours a week and I'm not saying that I don't still do that
Right.
sometimes, but there are no structure. There's no structure to my day. There's no set hours. You just get it done, and you figure out a way to get it done. You figure out a way to do it the best way possible, and you make sure that you have great people behind you to help make that succeed.
Big time. I love that. You're only as great as the people around you.
Yep.
It's an excellent reminder of one of the most fundamental principles of successful entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
With that said, again, where would you invite the listener to visit you and connect with you?
Oh, yes, definitely. Please visit us on our website. It's desertharvest.com. Or if you do have questions about our products or anything, our customer service people love, and they're very educated. So 800-222-3901 if you have any questions.
Right on. Okay. And now, Heather, there's a bonus question I ask as I close things out. Hopefully
Dun,
you
dun,
indulge
dun.
me. Yeah, you're also welcome to pass. But if we could have invited anyone here today with us to join us, go back and forth, chime in, be involved in this conversation we had today, which was a very awesome conversation, who would you have loved to have had, dead or alive, here with us?
Oh my gosh. For me, it would be Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I used to work, when he used to call himself a lowly academic. and we used to work on projects together, and his mind, the way it works, the way he can explain things and that anybody can understand him, the conversations we used to have, I miss those. Like we used to sit for hours and talk after, we'd be at conference or we'd be at a meeting. And this was, early 2000s. And now he's a successful celebrity who's I haven't talked to in umpteen years. So I think that he was really an inspiration for me early on in my career and in my life. And I think that that would be the person I'd love to have here because he makes every conversation great.
I love that. What an interesting take. I wonder sometimes when people who have been able to befriend people before they were people, what people know them to be. Is that quality something that's visible in people? Do you believe in that X factor? Was the X factor present there? That kind of thing?
I can, looking back now, I can look back at him and say, that's why, I loved being around him and enjoying being around him because he had such this passion and this vigor for what he did and how he explained it. And astrophysics can get pretty mundane to the common person. And so, but for him, it was never boring. And so looking back, I can look back and see that now and realize that he had that spark, that initiative that everybody was going to gravitate towards at one point or another.
I heard that same spark in the way you were explaining to me what happens when aloe vera is cut. Immediately, you spoke to me as if I understood the terminology. I mean, I have to look it up, right? But the way you spoke about it, I said, of course, yes. As I was into it, I was following along with what you were saying, and I was determined to be a part of that conversation. And that you have that same quality. I want you to know that your passion for it. And I tried to allude to that in our conversation earlier. Your passion for it, how deep and all in you are on it, makes everyone, I imagine, on your team appreciate the work because they're not working any harder than you are. You're working just as hard, if not harder. And that, I think, is a quality that, again, entrepreneurs need to be able to reflect on from this conversation and say, okay, it takes that kind of passion. It takes that kind of know-how, that all in, and, those 80 hours a week, whatever it is it's never going to change. It's just going to look different every day. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, exactly. Every day is something new. And if I can say anything, every day is I learned something new. And I think as long as I continue learning, I'm going to continue to grow, and I'm going to continue to be able to make a difference and change things.
Right on. Well, Heather, thank you so much for stopping by. It really was a pleasure. Everyone, again, Desert Harvest. And I believe, Heather, what was it? Desertharvest.com? Was that the website?
Yep, correct. Desertharvest.com.
Right on.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks for listening to Action and Ambition with your host, Andrew Metal. Please leave a review and subscribe, and go to andrewmetal.com for all the exclusive lessons, behind-the-scenes footage, and video content of the show. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Action and Ambition, and we'll see you on the next episode.